We are just 4 more days and Q1 2024 is over. Hey there, Tamir from Fibonacci-Traders.com, your weekly market recap. So like, subscribe, and let's dive together and see. We have on the left side, we have the daily chart. Right side, we have the weekly chart. Always zoom in, zoom out, and you will get a better point of view of price action. On the weekly, SPY gained another 2.2% after rate decision, although Thursday, Friday brought us two dojis to the downside. We have this gap at the 420.80, needs to get filled, but overall, buy signals on multi-time frames, monthly, 4 hours, daily, and weekly, we are still under bullish sentiment. QQQ, what do we see? On the daily, we can see broadening formation, the only true formation. Price action going above the 450, super tough resistance because it's the all-time highs. As you can see, since the end of February, 4 consecutive weeks, QQQ just moving sideways. 450 resistance, 437 is the support, breaking below, and we will retest the 429. Overall, Qs are under bullish sentiment on all big time frames. As you can see, breaking above the 450, and we will see 460, but we don't need to guess. We can take Fibonacci, swing low, swing high, take it to the upside, and this is how it looks on the daily. Above the 449, 460, together with this upper yellow trend line that is the upper border of this broadening formation, will be next resistance on the daily. Dow Jones, look at this ugly Friday candle. Not surprising, after Apple is going down 2 consecutive days, Dow follows. Now we also have the sell signal on the 4 hours, but we are still buy signal on the monthly, buy signal on the daily, buy signal on the weekly. This is how it looks on the weekly. 4 consecutive weeks on the Dow Jones. We got ourselves a new all-time highs on Thursday, but Friday pushed price down. We are still above the 392. 392 was a very tough resistance. Previous 4 weeks, look here, look left. Now it's support, breaking below 388, but for now Dow Jones is going up. One candle, doesn't matter how big, how strong, and how intimidated it looks, does not change the overall sentiment. IWM is next. IWM, 4 consecutive weeks are just moving sideways, holding above the 200. The 200 was a very tough resistance since December until it broke to the upside late February, and since then holding strong, but the 205 is still a very tough resistance. This is how the IWM, the Russell 2000 ETF, looks on the daily. We can take Fibonacci trend lines a little bit closer, and here you have this trend line helps us to identify that we are still with higher lows, broke below once again. Difficult time for the IWM bulls, staying above the daily yellow zone. KRE is next with 2% to the downside, 2.2% to the downside on Friday, back inside the yellow zone, back inside the downtrend channel. And as you remember, yesterday on Thursday market recap, we saw the FTI gave us uptrend. Now back inside this downtrend channel, and the FTI once again change the direction of the trend lines. This is the beauty of the FTI. All comes down, and it's giving us everything that we need. Just one click away, everything is automated. KRE on the weekly, this yellow zone on the weekly, super tough resistance since it broke to the downside late January. Ethereum on the weekly, trying to stay above the yellow zone. We are still a buy signal on the monthly, still buy signal on the weekly, but on the daily we are already on a sell signal. We broke below this yellow zone last week already, last Saturday, even Friday 15th. Now let's see, we need 30.66 together with this lower border of the uptrend channel holding as support. Otherwise, 28.61 on the weekly, and then 25.70 Bitcoin on the weekly. Last week we talked about this doji, that some kind of a pullback is incoming, and here we got it this week. We got a pretty nice pullback. Now we are below the uptrend channel, we are below the yellow zone. This is why we are under a sell signal on the lower time frames, on the 4 hours and on the daily, but on the monthly and on the weekly we are still inside an uptrend channel, above the buy signal, above the yellow zone. The 60,500, the 60k needs to hold a support, otherwise 56 and then 52, 51 to the downside. Magnificent 7, bullish uptrend, new all-time highs at the 40 area, breaking up above, continuation towards the 42 and 45 to the upside. This is how the Magnificent 7 looks on the daily. Thursday we got also the pullback, retested the yellow zone, and the yellow zone on the daily is holding. Now let's see continuation above the 40. We will see 40.60, 41.40 and 43.75. Overall we are buy signal on multi time frames. SOXX, we got also the buy signal once again, also on the daily. We got back inside the uptrend channel on the daily. We are still inside an uptrend channel on the weekly. Weekly SOXX just moving sideways 4 consecutive weeks. The positive side, it's holding strong above the weekly yellow zone, breaking below, and we will see the 208 and the 201. Long continuation. Let's see breaking above the 226 and then 240 and 280. 278 is also on this road north. Gold on the weekly. Started the week. Wednesday we got a bullish, and then we got also Thursday all the way to all-time highs at the 2220, and then just boom to the downside, back inside the yellow zone. The yellow zone on the daily, look how important the yellow zone is. Sideways inside the yellow zone, breaking below, and this uptrend will be done. And 21.23 on the gold is next. Natural gas, nothing much. As you can see, red on all time frames. Downtrend on the daily, downtrend on the weekly. Next support on the weekly is the 152. Then towards the 1 on the daily, below the 164, 155, 143. Crude oil on the weekly, we got ourselves a doji. This doji comes after a long bullish run, and as you can see, we are inside the yellow zone. Now 79 needs to hold. This is how it looks on the daily. We are still above the yellow zone. Long continuation above the 81 towards the 83 and 84, breaking below the 80, 80, 79, and outside of this uptrend channel. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let's continue with the XLF. XLF. What can we say about the XLF? Uptrend, super bullish on the weekly, super bullish on the daily. One candle, Friday's candle, 1.15% to the downside, does not change the overall sentiment. Yes, we got ourselves the sell signal on the 4 hours because of this candle, not surprising, but we are still inside an uptrend channel. We are still above the yellow zone. All good on financial sector. Microsoft with new all-time highs. Look at this candle, 3% to the upside on the weekly for Microsoft. Long continuation, and we will see 481 and 545. Microsoft Thursday, Friday, holding strong above this gap. This gap got filled and back to the upside. 430 now, above it, 439, 450. Microsoft super strong, and as you can see, this table gives us buy signal on multi time frames. Amazon is next. Amazon moving sideways in the past 4 weeks, and in the past 8 weeks, 7 weeks, 167 and 180. Super tight price action on Amazon, but we are inside an uptrend channel. Let's take Fibonacci a little bit closer, like this. swing low, swing high, 173 holding, together with this lower border of this weekly uptrend channel. Long continuation above the 181, then 191, 204, long continuation above the 181, and 184, 187, new all-time highs on Amazon. Meta, same as Microsoft, slowly grinding up. You can see it on the daily, you can see it on the weekly, but overall 4 consecutive weeks, super tight price action between the 485 and the 523, breaking above the 523 on the weekly. We will see 570 and 630. This is how it looks on the daily. We can take Fibonacci to the upside. 513 is the resistance. Look left, resistance, resistance, yellow zone holding support. Long continuation, and we will see back to the 525, 536, and 553. Now let's talk about Apple. Apple on the weekly. First, you can see Apple under the sell signal on all time frames for swing traders, whether it's on the 4 hours, daily, weekly, and also monthly. 4 more days until March is over. Trading March is over. And we need to look also on the monthly. This is how it looks. On the weekly, we are below and we are still under the threat of a multi-month, multi-top scenario. As you can see, bulls are fighting for their lives on Apple to stay above the 168, 169 area. Super important area of support. Look how bulls are fighting. Bears wants to break down. Yellow zone still super tough resistance. Breaking below, you know it. We are saying it for so long, so many weeks. Below the 168, below the 167, ladies and gentlemen, first we will see the 151 together with this lower border of the uptrend channel below this, and we are heading south, further south to where? Look on the daily, zoom in, and we will see the 146 gap getting filled. We are still inside this steep downtrend channel. Nvidia. What a week on Nvidia. After Nvidia's conference, weekly, another 3% to the upside, uptrend channel. We can take the channels a little bit wider. If you are asking yourself what is this indicator, it's not an indicator, it's the FTI. It's a tool that I developed after 7 years plus of experience and looking for that one tool with one click that will give me the highest probability, 85% probability accuracy on multi-time frames where price might be heading next. And now with this new addition, we can see multi-time frames. Are we bullish? Are we bearish? Nvidia super bullish above the 974, and we are heading towards 1055 and 1190. It's a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Google staying strong above the 147 on the daily, long continuation above the 152, and then we can take Fibonacci to the upside. Fibonacci gives us also the most important future support and resistance, future levels where price might be heading next, above the 152, 158, 165. Overall, Google, super bullish sentiment. This is how Google looks on the weekly, holding strong above the yellow zone, above the 154, 160, 168, and 191. MicroStrategy at some point broke below the yellow zone on the weekly, but as you can see, this uptrend channel is holding super strong from resistance to support, together with the support of the yellow zone. Overall, super bullish on MSTR. Pullback is imminent after this bull run. 166% in these 3 weeks. Some kind of a pullback. Overall, 15% pullback on the weekly. This is how it looks on the daily. Above the yellow zone, we are still above a buy signal, inside the trend lines, inside the upper trend line, and we are super bullish. Tesla, what will be with Tesla? As you can see, sideways move on Tesla, sliding down. We are still under sell signal on the weekly, sell signal on the monthly. Yes, we got ourselves a buy signal on the daily. It's just because we broke and stayed inside the yellow zone. On the weekly, it looks like this. Inside candle doji, which means bulls are still weak. Bears are still here, breaking below the 161. And on the weekly, for Tesla, we will see all these red levels to the downside, 135, 120, and 108. Tesla still have the 146 gap, needs to get filled. Netflix, slowly, nobody talks about Netflix too much. I don't understand why, because Netflix is super strong. 4 consecutive weeks above the 597. And look at this. Every day that goes by, Netflix just grinding up, slowly grinding up above the 635, 680, 740, and this is how it looks. This is all future levels for Netflix. 6 on the daily, 645, 660, and 700. AMD managed to stay above the 173 area. We can take Fibonacci to the 21 zone. This is how it looks. Support now needs to hold above the 172, otherwise 160. Overall, as you can see, AMD is under a sell signal on the 4 hours, on the daily, on the weekly, only on the monthly. Still a buy signal, but AMD doesn't look good. The 169, the lower border of the yellow zone needs to hold the support. Otherwise, 155 and 133. Last but not least, SMCI. SMCI, 3 consecutive weeks, 4 consecutive weeks, moving sideways, holding strong above the yellow zone, the weekly yellow zone. Long continuation. I want to see daily holding above the daily yellow zone, above the 1070, and then long continuation towards the 1230, 1486, and above the weekly, above this 1230 on the weekly. Next resistance is the 1818. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, like, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification because many more videos coming up during this weekend. Until the next video, stay safe.